It is 9:05 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is the 30th day of May, 2025. Man, a couple more days and we'll be into the second half of the year. Well, technically it'll still be the first half, but I'm just saying, it'll be the 6th month of 2025. I mean, my God almighty. And this is episode 1106. Is it 1106 or is it 1105? Let's find out. No, I was right. It's 1106. Bitcoin. And how would you like to be liquidated for $100 million? We'll talk about it. I promise. And then the digital euro is back in the news. Amboss is the name of the Lightning, the way that you can find people's Lightning nodes. Like you can find mine. It is the Bitcoin actually I changed the name of it. It's the Red Raiders. Look for Red Raiders on Amboss. And that would be like, I think it's like amboss.com or something like that. But they've got a new product out. And it seems a little odd that not odd, but it seems apropos at least that they are releasing this news after we had news of the Sequel node making 10% APR on routing Lightning network transactions. Tether. Tether has released some numbers on their reserves, and they're honestly kind of interesting. And then Nigel Farage over in the UK is making promises if he's elected. You know how that shit goes. We've got a football club that's putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. The Panama city in the country of Panama has an interesting proposal, including how ships and Bitcoin might mix. And then Bitmain has unveiled what may be their best miner yet. I'm sure it won't be their last, but say what you want about Bitmain. They make some pretty good equipment. They just do. And it was probably on some Bitmain equipment that caused the Hyperliquid trader to get liquidated for $100 million. Before we begin this, let me just say something. If you lose $100 million, do you think that you would be in a bad mood? And is it possible that other people around you who did not make that bet might be affected by being in your presence with you being in a bad mood? Because I'm pretty sure you would be in a bad mood if you lost $100 million. Whose fucking fault is that? Whose fault is that? Is that the market's fault? Is it Bitcoin's fault? Is it some dude in a suit walking around a stage at a particular Bitcoin conference saying X, Y, and Z? Is it his fault? No. It's the fault of the person that gambled, because that's what this is. This isn't about price discovery. It's not about helping the market, I don't know, figure something out. No, it's just straight up gambling. And this dude, this Mr. Win guy, had his ass handed to him. Now, I'm sure he's not broke and going to live in a cardboard box for the rest of his life. But when you go around making bets and then you get your ass handed to you, you should probably make two decisions, or at least make one of two decisions. That you're just going to continue to be the degenerate gambler that you are, or you're going to stop. If you're one of these people that are out there, and I don't think much of my audience actually does this, but if you are one of these people that just is a degenerate gambler, stop. Find some help. For the love of God. And for the love of the people around you. A crypto trader has reportedly been liquidated for over $100 million following an initial $1 billion, that's billion with a B, $1 billion leveraged Bitcoin position on the decentralized derivatives platform known as Hyperliquid. The trade is belonging to a guy named James Wynn. And this is according to Arkham Intelligence, who will also be in the news here in a little bit. They've been closely watching after Wynn built a 40x leveraged long position last week, betting Bitcoin's price would continue to climb. However, that was not the case on Thursday because the bet completely unraveled despite a lack of volatility in the Bitcoin price, and that's kind of important. Bitcoin is currently trading at about $106,020, down 1.9% over the last 24 hours, according to CoinGecko. Another pseudonymous trading account belonging to someone known as Pentoshi noted that the liquidation was somewhat different from those of other highly leveraged traders that they saw blowed up. Quote, the Bitcoin price really never changed. Period. It's been in like a 2% range. And this guy just kept trading poorly, getting chopped to zero, Pentoshi said on Twitter. Quote, he was super loud on the timeline and yapped a lot, which probably brought a lot of attention that he didn't need. It's best to trade large positions quietly. We'll come back to that. The trader, believed to operate under the X handle James Wynn Real, has built a reputation as a high-risk leverage trader and meme coin enthusiast. The account gained notoriety in 2023 after correctly predicting the rise of the Pepe meme coin to a $4.2 billion market cap, a call they claimed earned him over 8 figures in profits. Wow. That's like $10 million minimum, right? Yeah. Pepe later peaked at a market cap of over $11 billion in December of 2024. And since then, their trades have been closely followed by crypto speculators. Last week, Wynn's Bitcoin bet reached an average entry price of $108,000, with their positions at one point enduring a $32 million drawdown as prices whipsawed. The account, thought to belong to Wynn, responded to the liquidation by posting a still from The Matrix, with the protagonist Neo stopping a flurry of bullets with his hand. Hyperliquid, a decentralized exchange built on Arbitrum, or whatever, has drawn attention for its high-speed trading features and the transparency of wallet activity. Wynn's wallet first interacted with Hyperliquid 2 months ago when it deposited $3 million worth of stablecoin, according to Hyperscan, purr as in the kitty purr. The James Wynn account has also regularly promoted a meme coin called Moonpig and its related game Moon Rush. Wynn was recently accused of dumping Moonpig tokens by investors in the coin, which, of course, Wynn denied. Quote, that top wallet was never mine. I don't usually entertain such FUD, but I haven't sold a single cent of Moonpig, they said on Twitter. And I don't know why they went into this in this article, because that's not what's important. First of all, the guy got his ass handed to him. But here's the most important part. Quote, I'm going to read this whole thing again. The Bitcoin price never really changed. It's been like in a 2% range, and this guy just kept trading poorly, getting chopped to zero, Pentoshi said. He was super loud on the timeline and yapped a lot, which probably brought a lot of attention he didn't need. It's best to trade large positions quietly. Now, why do I bring this back up? Most of you guys out there are brilliant. You've already figured this shit out. This is just a different kind of operational security. I talk about being safe at conferences and not wearing swag around town. That's another kind of operational security. All right? You just don't want to operate out in the field and let people know what you're doing, because you don't want to be kidnapped, and you don't want your family to go through what happens when you get your pinky chopped off, right? So, but there are other kinds of operational security, like you don't tell people how far you're into something, like a trade. You don't continuously announce it. And I'm not a trader, yet this is really good advice from this Pentoshi guy saying, you should shut up because you've just telegraphed your position several times. And that kind of intelligence can, earn somebody else a lot of money from your misery by washing your ass out. He knows how much Bitcoin you've got in on this trade. He knows what your strike price is. He knows all kinds of shit about your trade because you won't shut the fuck up. And it looks to me like a couple of people probably got together, most likely on Telegram, and decided to put all of their shit together, and they just wiped this Win guy out. And he did not win. Win did not win. Win, in fact, lost. And please, for the love of God, don't let it be you. Just don't even trade this shit. Just buy your Bitcoin and hold your Bitcoin. It's not all that hard. Unless you're the euro, in which case it's going to be really hard for you. Helen Part's Cointelegraph digital euro and not mica is the key to managing crypto risks, according to the Bank of Italy chief, former European Central Bank official, and the present governor of the Bank of Italy, Fabio Panetta, touted the digital euro as a key tool for controlling the risks of increasing cryptocurrency adoption. Yeah, they don't like this shit, man. The Bank of Italy on May the 30th released an annual report with the governor concluding remarks on the state of the economy. And Panetta said that the European Union must move forward with the central bank digital currency project to maintain financial stability and meet demand for secure digital payments. Quote, we would be remiss to think that the evolution of crypto assets can be controlled only through rules and restrictions, Panetta said, warning that crypto regulation alone cannot address the systemic risks posed by crypto, and that the digital euro would be key to addressing them. Panetta also addressed the impact of the EU's crypto regulatory framework, the MiCA, or Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, which entered into full force in late 2024. Since MiCA came into force, only some electronic money tokens, such as stablecoins, have been issued in the EU, and their circulation is limited so far, the governor stated. He also said MiCA has not fueled any significant stablecoin developments in Italy. Quote, in Italy, there has so far been little interest in the issuance of crypto assets by supervised intermediaries and other operators, while a growing focus on custodial and trading services has been observed, end quote. MiCA has encouraged businesses to report if they plan to launch crypto asset services or intend to apply for authorization to do so. While offering some protection to European investors, MiCA has not fully safeguarded savers from the risks associated with heterogeneity in regulatory approaches globally, Panetta argued. Quote, EU citizens might be exposed to failures of platforms or issuers based in other jurisdictions that lack adequate controls or the necessary transparency and operational safeguards. He called for stronger international cooperation and urged the EU to lead on establishing global regulatory standards. Panetta said that only a digital euro backed by the central bank could offer the necessary trust and functionality in a changing payment landscape. Quote, what is needed is a response that matches the ongoing technological transformation, one that is capable of meeting the demand for secure, efficient, and accessible digital payment instruments, all while preserving the role of central bank money, he said. The digital euro project stems precisely from this need. Panetta's remarks echo the agenda promoted by ECB Executive Board member Piero Cipriani, who has advocated for the launch of a digital euro, citing the growing popularity of United States dollar stablecoins, which now make up 97% of the entire stablecoin market. Previously a member of the ECB's executive board, Panetta resigned in October of 2023, with his position subsequently filled by Cipriani, or however you pronounce this guy's name. Panetta's report came weeks after Tether, the issuer of the world's largest U.S. dollar peg stablecoin, defended its decision to skip MiCA registration for USDT in early May. Quote, MiCA license is very dangerous when it comes to stablecoins, and I believe that is even more dangerous for the small, medium banking system in Europe, Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino said at the time. Okay. So we have yet another high-powered central bank guy begging the EU to go forward as fast as they possibly can with the development of the digital euro, which would be their version of a CBDC. And it's because the United States stablecoin market is a monster with so many heads, they do not have enough people and enough swords and enough cauterization material to chop all the heads off to make sure that none grow back. Right? If you don't, like, if you know the myth or the story of the Hydra or the whatever, the 7-headed dragon, you had to chop its head off, but it would grow a new one. And I can't remember what Greek or Roman or probably Greek hero it was that took care of this creature, figured out, hey, chop a head off and then use a hot piece of steel to cauterize the wound so that the head couldn't grow back. This U.S. stable coins is like a Hydra of which none has ever seen. I've told you my theory before. I'm just going to reiterate it. It's the U.S. stable coins, whether Circle's going to be inside the United States proper, like the territories, Alaska, Hawaii, and the continental United States. Tether is designed to go after everything else, the rest of the world. And what they're going to do is they're going to buy United States treasuries and they're going to export that debt through the instrumentation of Tether. So the Federal Reserve of the United States, no longer is the buyer of last resort. They will still buy treasuries, but what will happen is you'll have these stablecoin companies also buying treasuries, and the United States will have no end to the amount of treasuries that they can print and then sell in auction to these guys. And they're going to immediately convert that debt into actual monetary units called Tether, and inside the United States called Circle. That's how they're going to that's how they're going to export this debt. Circle may not actually be as much of a debt consumer as Tether will be. That's my guess. But Saifedean Ammous gave a talk at Bitcoin Conference 2025, and he echoes the first part of my thesis, but he goes so far as to say that that's not all they're actually doing. That's not all Tether is going to actually be, because they've got backing in a different way. And that instead of, like, my full thesis is that this will be the lifeblood of the United States dollar for years to come. And I still hold that, but I've always said that it will come to an end, because it doesn't matter. If you print a shit ton of money, even if you are able to export it to other countries and make their life miserable first, it will boomerang back to the people that issued the money, because printing money is bad for anybody in a closed system. And if you just say, hey, well, it's the United States is a closed system, but we're exporting that money, so we're not in a closed system. Yes, we are. We all live on a planet. And unless there was one other habitable planet that we had trading relations with, then we do not live in an open system. We still, in fact, live on a closed system. It's just that those filters that we also call barriers create friction. So it will slow that velocity down. But Safe goes so far as to say that this is not going to ultimately be good for the United States dollar, that Tether is putting themselves in a position, and stablecoins in general, in a position to replace the United States dollar. And he's got an interesting reason why, as far as an example of Tether goes. And here it is, except this isn't Safe talking. This is an article from the block that talks about what Tether is holding in reserve. And according to their CEO, Paolo Ardoino, they hold 100,000 Bitcoin and 50 tons of gold. Let's get into this one. Perhaps the most profitable company in the crypto industry has stockpiled billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and gold. Taking the stage at Bitcoin 2025 in Vegas, Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino presented a slide showing that the company, the world's largest issuer of US dollar pegged stablecoin, currently holds more than 100,000 Bitcoin, which is about $10 billion, and over 50 tons of gold. USDT is the stablecoin issued by Tether. On the same slide, Ardoino showed how Tether generated a profit of approximately $13 billion, that's billion with a B, in a single year, 2024, making it almost certainly the most financially successful enterprise in the entire crypto industry. Given that Tether has accumulated gold, Arduino attempted to justify the decision before the conference crowd, which was full of Bitcoin enthusiasts. Quote, many Bitcoiners don't like talking about gold as if gold would take away something from Bitcoin. There is no way. Bitcoin is perfect. Gold is imperfect. Gold is not competing with Bitcoin. Gold is competing with fiat, and that's why we like a little bit of gold. End quote. In Tether's latest report detailing its reserves, as of the end of the first fiscal quarter of 2025, Tether said that it had over $7 billion worth of Bitcoin and more than $6 billion of standard physical bars. Its Bitcoin holdings were based on a price of $83,000, according to the report, and as dozens of companies stockpile Bitcoin, while others, such as Strategy, appear to have made acquiring the cryptocurrency their, number one and sole focus, BTC's price has been holding steady as of late, including a recent surge to a new all-time high of well over $109,000. Earlier on Thursday, Cantor Fitzgerald Asset Management announced plans for a fund that will offer direct exposure to Bitcoin while simultaneously providing one-to-one downside protection based on the price of gold. Alongside Tether and SoftBank, Cantor is linked to 21 Capital, a Bitcoin treasury firm that recently acquired $458 million worth of Bitcoin, and 21 Capital is about to show you their wallets. That was an announcement made either late yesterday or earlier this morning by Jack Mallers. He's talking about a complete transparency of their reserves of Bitcoin, which is putting pressure directly on Michael Saylor. And it looks to me like maybe Jack Mallers is a little pissed off that he was not going to be able to get STRK as the ticker symbol for his company Strike because Michael Saylor got it first. And maybe Jack Mallers took that a little personally. Because, as I was saying yesterday, it was very evident that Michael Saylor didn't want anybody to know anything about his wallets. He just said that was dangerous for anybody to know what their wallet addresses was and what their, how much those wallets held and blah, blah, blah. And Jack Mallers this morning or late yesterday evening said, well, we're going to do it. Seems like there might be a little bit of a battle going on there. Well, it's fine. It doesn't really matter because Arkham Intelligence has doxed Michael Saylor's wallets again. Yes, I told you about it yesterday. Well, they did it again because yesterday they figured that they had about 85% of what Strategy held by being able to identify the wallets that Strategy supposedly holds. That's Arkham Intelligence business. I'm not going to defend whether or not they're right, okay, because I don't know how they're doing it. I can only assume they're using heuristics and they're tracking stuff back and they've figured it out. It doesn't matter because this morning Arkham Intelligence has now said that they have further doxed MicroStrategy, or rather Strategy's wallets. And now they say, Arkham Intelligence claims that they know where 97% of Strategy's Bitcoin is held. I mean, at this point, do they even need to go further? So Michael Saylor, see, again, this is like the dude, this is like that James Wynn guy that got liquidated for $100 million. You don't talk about your trade because somebody out there, this is why in photographs, people try to mask out like license plate numbers. Or if they show a billboard and there's a telephone number on it, it's fogged out. Because some people are just psycho, man. Like the song 8675309. Do you have any idea in Southern California how many times that number literally had to be disconnected? I don't think anybody owns that number anymore because psychos will just call that number if they're listening to the song 8675309. And if you're in a band in Southern California, or at least, everybody was in Southern California in the 70s when they were recording shit. So they were all in LA. So it was pretty much an LA number. even if it wasn't an LA number from the songwriter, everybody assumed that they were in LA, so they were just calling that LA number. It's like, no. That what I'm saying, like if you show somebody's license plate, somebody will figure out a way. They're bored. They'll call the DMV and say, "Hey, they'll lie their way and say, "Hey, I'm a cop working on this case. I need this license plate number." They'll just do it to see A, if they can do it, or B, they already know they can do it and they got nothing better to do with their day. In the case of James Nguyen, he was talking about exactly how he was trading, and a couple of people got together and said, "Let's screw this guy just because we're bored and we want a lot of money, and you've just basically set us up to make a lot of money off of you." This is the same shit. Michael Saylor comes out and basically says nobody's ever going to know how much we own, and Arkham Intelligence said, "I'm bored. I think I'm going to tell everybody exactly what you own because we're going to be able to do it." See, this is all operational security. If you don't want somebody to know something, you should probably not say anything about it at all and shove your mouth full of a nice, meaty, beefy, delicious hodl bar from Oshi. OshiGood.us. This is the Circle P, by the way. Circle P is where I bring plebs just like you that have goods and services for sale to plebs just like you who want to buy those goods and services. And a hodl bar sampler pack sounds good right now. 2.5 ounces of datey, chocolatey, minty, vanilla-y, and banana-y goodness. These things are exactly what you want in your backpack when you're on a hike and you figure out, oh, you know what? We forgot to eat lunch before we went on this hike, and now we're starving because we're burning through freaking calories. And I've got 2 bars. I've got this granola bar from Quaker Oats, or I've got this delicious Oshi bar that is made of some of the finest ingredients ever. These things are awesome. He also has something called hodl butter, which is like peanut butter, and he's got 3 of them left in stock, and it has, or rather, this is made from pecans and maple sugar and sea salt flakes, as well as a little bit of cinnamon and black pepper just to round it out. This stuff looks fantastic. Now, I haven't had this, but I have had the hodl bars, and the hodl bars are awesome because in this one, the hodl bar sampler pack, it comes with banana chocolate chip, or the banana chocolate chip bar comes with dates and pecan butter, which I just described to you, dark chocolate chips, peanut flour, chocolate powder, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and sea salt. Do you see any protein powder in there? No. Do you see any like preservatives in there? No. You know why? Because the plebs that I bring you make clean products. And when you support them, they support me, so I can support you, so you can support them, so they can see how there's very many ways that a Bitcoin circular economy works. And that's what the Circle P is here for. It's why it's a circle. It's a circular economy made for plebs. By plebs, for plebs. Go to oshigood.us, 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 and order a hodl bar sampler pack. 11,000 Satoshis, right? They'll get you, it's a 2-pack. They'll get you 1 mint cookie and 1 banana chocolate chip. And they're both 2.5 or 2.4 ounces. They will do the trick when you're on that hike, man. And make sure that you put Bitcoin and into the coupon code box on checkout so that Oshi knows where to send the sats, because if he made a sale, he's going to want to say, where did I make the sale from? This is how he knows. Put Bitcoin and into the coupon code. Bitcoin and into the coupon code, and Oshi will get me on the other side with Satoshis for making a sale for him. Get a hodl bar. These things are awesome. Now, Amboss, I've talked about them a little bit earlier today. We're going to get into it. Amboss introduces a self-custodial Bitcoin yield product on the Lightning Network. James Hunt from The Block is writing this one. Amboss, which is an AI-driven solutions provider for the Bitcoin Lightning Network, has unveiled a self-custodial yield generation service called Rails, tapping into the earnings potential of Lightning Network. Rails is designed for users to earn yield on their Bitcoin by acting as liquidity providers while maintaining full custody and bolstering the Lightning Network's performance and scalability, according to a statement shared with the block. Though returns are not guaranteed, yield can be generated from activities such as payment routing and liquidity leasing, the firm said. Built on Amboss's AI infrastructure, Rails also helps improve the speed, reliability, and capacity of Lightning transactions. The service includes Rails LP, aimed at companies with Bitcoin treasuries, custodians, and high net worth individuals with a minimum commitment of 1 BTC for 1 full year, and liquidity subscriptions tailored for businesses that accept Bitcoin payments with fees starting at 0.5%. Quote, Rails is a transformative force for the Lightning Network, Amboss co-founder and CEO Jesse Schrader said. It's not just about yield. It's about enabling businesses to strengthen the network while earning on their Bitcoin. It's a critical step in Bitcoin's evolution as a global medium of exchange. Amboss has partnered with Bitcoin exchange CoinCorner and Flux, a joint venture between Axiom and CoinCorner, to launch Rails. CoinCorner has integrated the service into its exchange and payment systems, while Flux aims to use it to expand Lightning's role in global payments. Quote, Rails offers a practical way for businesses like ours to participate in the Lightning Network's growth, CoinCorner CFO David Boylan said. Quote, we've been using the Lightning Network for years, and Rails provides a structured approach to engaging with its economy, particularly through liquidity leasing and payment routing. This aligns with our goal of making Bitcoin more accessible and practical for everyday use, end quote. And then they go into a description of the Lightning Network, and I'm just going to scan through here. Yeah, that's honestly, this is all we really need to know. Okay. So Amboss has been around for years, and I've not really technically used any of their products per se, but I do use Amboss when I'm looking for, like another Lightning partner or something like that, because I can find out how many channels they have. I can find out, how much Bitcoin they've got in their node. I can tell how long their node has been up. It's actually a really good tool, because if you're going to get a Lightning partner, you're going to want somebody who's not just on and off the network and has like almost no liquidity. But here's the thing. What they're talking about is like, if let's say I got one Bitcoin and I want to make some yield on that Bitcoin, and I'm providing routing services. Now, I'm always railing about the fact that, hey, where does the yield come from? Because the yield needs to come from something that is actually doing something. Either you're selling product for your business and you're generating yield that way because you're generating profit, and I've helped fund you to make that profit, so I want a cut of that profit. That's yield. That's an actual, honest to God, positive yield that I can wrap my head around. That I understand. Or if you're providing a service, like, I don't know, a subscription service or something like that, you're generating a profit. And if I've helped you by investing in your company to generate that profit, I want a cut. That's real yield. Amboss is providing a service. They're providing liquidity, because the network, the Lightning Network, kind of lives and breathes and dies on liquidity, or the lack thereof in the latter case. So if I've got a Bitcoin and I want to get actual yield that I understand where the yield comes from, I might go over to Amboss and I might give them my Bitcoin, but they're going to do it in a self-custodial way, which pretty much to me, that kind of means multi-sig, where there's an argument as to who owns the Bitcoin under certain circumstances, but they don't have total control and I don't have total control. So we would probably end up on an argument, go to arbitrage and have a third, or not arbitration, and let a third party listen to both sides of it. But that's not important here, because if that can be done, if I can start out with a whole Bitcoin, what if I've already got a Lightning node? Or what if I'm already renting somebody else's Lightning node for my business and I'm getting paid in Satoshis for my goods and services on that Lightning node? I'm thinking Steak and Shake, because they've already made, and they haven't said the numbers, but they've already probably made quite a few Satoshis. What if Steak and Shake works a deal with Amboss and says, hey, we'll move our Lightning node over to you guys, if they haven't already? I know nothing about the back-end infrastructure of what Steak and Shake is doing other than they are using Lightning. That's all I know. I don't know if they self-host their own node. I don't know if somebody else does it for them. It's not the point. Let's say they call up Amboss and say, hey, Jesse, Mr. Schrader, let's work a deal. We'll basically let you handle all of our Lightning activity. And we're just going to stack those sats. And after like every month over month, whatever sats that we've made on the business, instead of immediately converting it to actual fiat dollars, we're going to keep it as sats, but we're going to want you to help us make a yield on that. And if that goes on a day over day, week over week, month over month basis for an entire year, what could happen, especially if more and more Bitcoiners actually are going to Steak and Shake and using the Lightning Network to buy burgers and fries? Now, multiply that by anybody else that's, self-hosting their own node or renting a node from somebody else that are actually using their, that thing for business. And they're saying, you know what? If I just peel off 10% of the Satoshis that I'm making on a month over month basis and just stack them with Amboss, and right now, yes, it's a minimum of 1 BTC, but what if this is a success? Rails is so successful that they say, well, now we'll do it on 100,000 Satoshis. That's kind of a pipe dream right now, but bear with me. What if in real time, I'm changing the amount of yield I can earn by stacking more Satoshis with Amboss on their product, their service of providing liquidity to the Lightning Network, and I'm Steak and Shake, and I'm like stacking hundreds of thousands of Satoshis per day, day over day. I get to like 1 million within a week. I get to like 2 million in a week and a half. What happens when you get 10 businesses doing that? And what happens when you have 100 and 1,000? What happens to Amboss? What happens to the Lightning Network? What happens to the people that say they can generate you yield, but it's a shit coin? Let your imagination fly. And meanwhile, I will run the numbers. Whoa, oil is getting kicked in the crotch, 1.5 points to the downside. We are just at $60 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate. Brent North Sea is down 0.5 to 63.81 a barrel, and natural gas is down 1.6% to $3.46 per thousand, and gasoline is down 1.7% to $2.02 a gallon. All of your shiny metal rocks are sucking swamp water. Gold is down 0.86%, back down to 32.88 and 6 dimes. Silver is down 1.5%, platinum is down 2.5%, copper's down 1/4, and palladium is down 1 1/3. Ag is fully mixed today. Biggest winner is chocolate. Devil number coming up, 6.66% to the upside for the dark brown shit. Get it? You see what I did there? And the biggest loser today is coffee, the other dark brown shit, down 1.65%. And then we've got live cattle, which is down 1/4. Lean hogs are up 2.1%, and feeder cattle are down 1/3. Meanwhile, all of your equity legacy markets are also sucking swamp water. This is because, by the way, Trump has accused of China of violating the preliminary trade deal already, and the fact that the International Trade Court for the United States is basically saying all of Trump's tariffs are illegal. So now the market doesn't know what the fuck it's doing, and it's shitting the bed. Dow is down 0.6%. S&P is down over a point. The NASDAQ is down 1.1/3. And the S&P Mini is down 1.25. And, well, we're getting kicked in the nuts on Bitcoin, too. We're all the way down to $104,360. That is a $2.07 trillion market cap, and we can only scavenge 31.7 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 871,932.09 of. Average fees per block are insanely low, 0.03 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis, and there are 5 blocks carrying 4,600 transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 2 Satoshis per VByte. Low priorities going to get you in at the same. Hash rate, however, is rising. 20 points since yesterday. 922 exahashes per second. So no matter what the hell's going on, there is no minor capitulation. This is your reminder to go over to bitcoinandshow.com, bitcoinandshow, all one word.com, and sign up. It's not a newsletter, not yet anyway, but you will get at least, well, actually, maximum, you're probably only going to get one email a day, and that's just to announce that I've released another episode, which I do Monday through Friday here at the Bitcoin and Show, where I try to get you all the news that you can use. From yesterday's episode of Bitcoin and my doxing strategy, I've got only one donation. Really, guys? Turkey is making y'all look like turkeys. 500 sats and still says nothing. Oh my God. Really? Is the Bitcoin conference really sucking the life out of my show? Do I really have to attribute this to the Bitcoin conference? You know, if it was the Oslo Freedom Forum, okay, I got that. I like the Oslo Freedom Forum. In fact, that's that's actually one of the only other conferences that I really want to go to. And it's not really even a Bitcoin conference. It's the Oslo Freedom Forum. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use, and Nigel Farage out there making promises because he's pledging to the UK that they will have their very own Bitcoin reserve and capital gains tax cut in a crypto revolution if the Reform Party comes to power. James Hunt from The Block. At the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas on Thursday evening, the leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, pledged to introduce a crypto assets and digital finance bill if he becomes prime minister. Farage said Reform will campaign for the bill and put in its place if the party wins the next UK general election, which is to be held no later than August the 15th of 2029. My God almighty. That's Nigel. How old is Nigel? Anyway, I hope he makes it. Though this is still a few years away, if the party is successful and the legislation is enacted, it would mean the creation of a Bitcoin digital reserve in the Bank of England, a reduction in capital gains tax from 24%, holy shit, to 10%, and making it illegal for any bank to close customer accounts simply because they send or receive funds from crypto exchanges or trade legal cryptocurrencies, Farage explained. Recent aggregated polling data from Statista has Reform on 29% of voting intention for the next general election, and the current Labour government trailing on 22%. The Conservatives are on 17%, the Liberal Democrats 16%, and the Green Party commands 10%. The UK already has a third largest known Bitcoin holding among all sovereign nations, with 61,245 Bitcoin, worth about $6.4 billion, just behind China and the United States, with 190 and 198,000 BTC respectively, according to Bitcoin treasuries. Quote, 7 million people in Britain have got crypto assets, Farage said. 1 in 4 people under 30 have got crypto assets, and yet our outdated Labour and Conservative governments have done nothing in this space at all. And what I want to do when we win the next election is bring us into the 21st century. I guess they're maybe still in like Victorian England or something like that. I don't know what he's talking about. We're going to make London one of the major trading centers of the world. We're deadly serious. Yeah, it sounds like Mayor Adams up there in New York City. They were going to make New York City the center of y'all these promises, guys. Farage acknowledged that the Trump administration's embrace of the crypto industry in the United States is part of being the impetus for reforms policy, calling it fantastic and suggesting that the UK tends to be a little bit behind, referring to the emergence of the globalist structures like the European Union in the 90s and his pivotal role in the UK's Brexit vote to leave the European Union in 2016. Farage said that he believed in national sovereignty, but also worried that governments across the Western world had become too big. Quote, it interferes and tries to control virtually every aspect of our lives, so I believe in individual sovereignty as well. And Bitcoin is the ultimate freedom from big government, end quote. The current center-left Labour government and center-right Conservative parties have traditionally dominated UK elections. Reform is a relatively new political entity that emerged from key figures previously involved with the UK Independence Party, or UKIP, including Nigel Farage. It was established in 2018 under the name the Brexit Party and later rebranded as Reform UK in 2021. Despite Reform's success in recent local and mayoral elections dominating the results, voters have historically reverted to Labour or Conservatives come general elections, regardless of any surge in popularity of other parties. Farage acknowledged it is not going to be easy, but believes if Reform can build on that recent success, grow its party membership, and establish its credibility, it can win. Oh, wow. Additionally, the UK has been exploring a potential central bank digital currency through the Bank of England, and the Treasury Department remains undecided on its necessity. Quote, this would be the ultimate form of tyranny, Farage said on Thursday, echoing similar remarks from President Trump. Quote, I can tell you, as I go around the country, people have woken up to what's going on here. When we win the next election, there will be a CBDC over my dead body, end quote. Farage also reflected on an issue particularly close to his own heart as one of the most high-profile figures in the UK to have previously been debanked. Quote, it was, I've got to be honest, a very, very, very scary experience. I went to 10 banks, all of whom refused me an account. It's like they're trying to force me out of the country. But I fought back. I fought back publicly, and I won. But I was able, through my media contacts and my profile, to have that fight and win it. And most folks aren't. I mean, even last year in the United Kingdom, 400,000 people were debanked. 400,000. And that's just in the UK. While an influential figure, Farage would only be able to implement these policies if he were to become prime minister. But he stressed the importance of starting the debate now. Quote, what is in my power now is to change the whole debate. My appearance with you on stage is going to spark a massive national debate. There are many people now watching this in the United Kingdom. I'm sure the Labour and Conservative parties will say, oh dear, why didn't we think of that? So I think in the short term, we could change at least the national argument. In government, you have to have a majority in the House of Commons, Farage continued. You have to have a majority of MPs by winning the individual districts, constituencies. And once you've done that, you have a mandate that you can pretty much do within reason what you want. So this isn't going to happen overnight. I wish the election was sooner than 2029, but it gives us a long time to build up the activist base, what I call the People's Army. The People's Army of folk who want real fundamental change. The People's Army who say we want politicians not who just want to be prime minister or have a ministerial car, but actually want to effect real, genuine, radical change. So there you go. Nigel Farage seems like he's figured out how Trump won this election, and he's going to do exactly the same thing. Does that mean he's full of shit? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I quite honestly, man, I mean, even if you think he's a complete nutbag, he pretty much does what he says he's going to do. And he kind of always has. So, I don't know. We're just going to have to see if if they get it all the way to 2029, because the way things are looking, there seems to be like a lot of people in the UK that are not happy with their new prime minister. And it's happened before where, I mean, I can't remember that lady's name. She was prime minister for what, like 9 months? And she got ousted and they had to hold new elections. And I'm not sure how the UK handles this kind of thing. It seems very confusing, but we may not have to wait till 2029. I'm just saying. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on down south to Panama, where the Panama City mayor says that the Panama Canal should give Bitcoin-paying ships faster access. Braden Lindria from Cointelegraph. Panama City mayor, which is named mayor, literally, the Panama City mayor, named Mayor Mizrachi, has floated the idea of allowing ships transiting the Panama Canal to pay in Bitcoin for faster passage. Mizrachi proposed during a panel discussion at, of course, the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas on May the 29th, that cargo ships could cut the line on waiting for their passage through the key shipping channel by paying in Bitcoin. Quote, "We have a canal. What if you get a perk for paying in Bitcoin? You know, like get your ship to go quicker if you pay in Bitcoin," he suggested while speaking with two El Salvador Bitcoin policy leaders, of course, Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert. The director of Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, Mike Peterson, moderated that panel. The Panama Canal is a man-made waterway linking the Caribbean and Pacific Oceans. Essentially, it's not the Caribbean Ocean. Yes, technically they call it that. It links the Atlantic Ocean and all Atlantic shipping to the Pacific Ocean and all Pacific and the rest of the world's oceans. It is a strategic infrastructure. I've been saying this for a long time. Allow the ships, or in my case, what I've said in the past is make the ships pay in Bitcoin. We don't take Panamanian money. We don't take US dollars. We don't take yen. We don't take freaking rubles. Whatever it is that your shitty fiat currency is, we don't take it. You want to get your shit and all of its stuff through the Panama Canal? You best pay in Bitcoin. I honestly think this is a great idea because ships pay to transit through that canal, with Panama earning about $5 billion, that's billion with the B, dollars in revenue from the canal. And that was just in the last full fiscal year between August of 2023 and September of 2024, according to the Panama Canal website. That is a lot of money. 10,000 ships transited through the canal during that time frame, transporting 423 million tons worth of goods. The Panama Canal became a controversial topic in December of 2024 as Trump announced plans for the U.S. to reclaim control of the canal, which I believe that we actually should. We built it. We paid for it. I have no idea why we decided to let it go back into the control of the Panamanese or Panamanians. Yeah, Panamanians. No idea why we did that. But it was done. Still, even the mayor of Panama City, even he knows how to make some money off of this thing. I honestly think it's a really good idea, personally. Now, on to the premier football club, Paris Saint-Germain. Well, they have announced that they've got a Bitcoin treasury. Paris Saint-Germain FC, which is facing off in the Champions League soccer finals this weekend, is the latest brand to announce a Bitcoin treasury strategy. The Premier Football Club reportedly started buying Bitcoin last year and has held on to them. Par Helgåsen, head of PSG Labs, said at the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas on Thursday. PSG is far from the only sports team to explore the world of crypto. During the pandemic-era bull market, dozens of teams across sports issued so-called fan tokens and, of course, NFTs, blah, blah, blah. However, it appears PSG, an early experimenter with crypto, is now the very first to reveal that it is a long-term Bitcoin holder. Quote, "We put Bitcoin on our books. We took our fiat reserves and we actually allocated Bitcoin. We still have it in our books. And as one of the largest clubs in the world, we're the largest player in the sports ecosystem to do that. End quote. Crypto treasuries, a phenomenon that largely kicked off and died down during the last pandemic era market cycle, have lately come back in vogue. And then they talk about all these companies that are making, moves into making treasuries. And we already know about all of them. But this is actually the first sports team that I've heard of since the pandemic. There was a lot of them during the pandemic. And I think a lot of that kicked off because of Peter from the old What Bitcoin Did podcast. His football team was one of the if it wasn't the first one, was one of the very first ones to have a Bitcoin treasury. And all of that was basically during the pandemic, right? And then it kind of died down. And now it looks like it may be coming back in vogue for sports teams to have their own Bitcoin treasury. Now, more power to them. Hope they win. I don't follow football unless it's in the United States and played by a certain college named Texas Tech University. Other than that, they can all go to hell with your bread and circus. But Bitmain has unveiled the Antminer S23 Hydro. And apparently it has unprecedented efficiency. Atlas 21 tells us more. During the World Digital Mining Summit, Bitmain introduced its latest Bitcoin mining device, the Antminer S23 Hydro. The new miner promises an energy efficiency of 9.5 joules per terahash, setting new industry standards. According to Bitmain's presentation, the Antminer S23 Hydro delivers up to 580 terahashes per second with a power consumption of 5,510 watts. Scheduled for release in early 2026, the Antminer S23 Hydro marks a major leap forward compared to the first ASIC devices dedicated to mining. To put it in perspective, the first specialized miners launched in 2013, and they consumed around 1,200 joules per terahash. Holy shit. Bitmain's latest device therefore represents a more than 99% improvement in efficiency. So in 2013, the efficiency was 1,200 joules per terahash. This one is 9.5 joules per terahash. Do the math, you get 99% improvement. In recent months, the hash price has remained relatively low, dropping below $39 per petahash per second during the year. As of now, hash price stands at around $55 per petahash per second, according to data from Hashrate Index. This scenario has pushed several companies in the sector to rethink their expansion strategies. Instead of increasing hashing capacity, many are choosing to upgrade their existing fleets, focusing on efficiency rather than sheer scale. The introduction of the Antminer S23 Hydro could catalyze a transformation within the mining ecosystem. The gradual replacement of outdated devices with more efficient technology could lead to a significant reduction in the Bitcoin network's overall energy consumption. Yes, and it's going to go that way. It's going to get more and more efficient. And this is what I've been saying is like every time you see this efficiency number, this joules per terahash, as that number drops, like we start getting to 8.5 joules per terahash and then 7.5 joules per terahash, because that's going to happen. What at that point, what is actually happening? You're providing less heat on the output of these machines. And we've seen a lot of people say, hey man, I've installed this, these miners into my home heating system for my house, and it works brilliantly. There are people that heat their hot tubs with it. There are people that make hot water heaters out of these old miners, right? But the more and more of these new miners that come online, the less and less heat is actually going to be wasted. So what does that mean for all these old miners? They're going to be in demand. This is what I love about these old miners. There was a time when you couldn't give them away for free. And there is still like people paying pennies on the dollars for these things. But I suspect that as more and more greenhouses, large industrial scale operations that need to heat their places efficiently are going to say, well, let's just buy banks of these old miners because they've got to heat their shit anyway. And a lot of people, I mean, depending on where you are, especially if you don't have natural gas, and there's a lot of places in mountainous regions, it's impossible to lay natural gas lines. So they basically operate on electricity, right? If you're going to waste the electricity to just to plug it into a heater, and all that you're doing is using resistance to generate a shit ton of heat, why not get a little other work done along the way, run the miners, and let the inefficient miners, their waste heat stream, also heat your stuff, because at least you have a chance to do the same job that you were going to do anyway and have the mining portion of it pay for it. And that's one of the reasons why I think I'm kind of bullish on the used ASIC miner industry. I think there's already an industry around it, but I honestly think that people that are able to stockpile, buy low and sell high on these particular old units, I honestly think there's a real business model there for people going forward into the future. Maybe not today, but I really do think in the next couple of years, you're going to find people going, fuck, I want 150 of these things. I want to install them as like a bank, a huge bank of mining, and I want to put it in my greenhouse because I'm growing chrysanthemums. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. It is Friday. It is now starting the weekend. I do hope that you guys have a great one, and I will see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.